Hey, everybody, this is Dave, and I'm with Greg, and we are the Unconventional Therapist Guide to Nothing. Just two ordinary Joes giving you the best and worst of all the knowledge you could ask for. What's up, Greg?
What's up, Dave? Interesting topic today, huh? I feel like this is kind of your wheelhouse, kind of,
Yeah,
right? Our
no,
wheelhouse,
not at
maybe?
all.
No?
I didn't major in criminology.
No, you certainly didn't. And neither did I. But it seems
That's
like
for certain.
maybe the country could have majored in criminology. Everyone's into true crime, aren't they? It's like kind of the
Oh,
thing.
you're associating today's topic with true crime.
I am, even
You
though
think
it's
only
I
true
get, I
crimers
understand
could be
it's
interested in this?
what's that?
You think only true crimers could be interested in this topic? Because I
No,
think
no,
this is
no.
actually more interesting for people interested in psychology than
Sure.
true crime.
Why people do the things they do, right?
Yeah. Or is
So,
there a reason that some people can do certain things that other people can't?
yeah, it's a comforting thought. I
Like,
think for all of us, like we're all wired.
why can I jump up and tap my heels together twice, and Greg can only do it once? That's
Uh,
because I'm in better shape.
Oh, is
I'm
that
more
okay?
agile.
I can do backflip. You want me to do it?
Not impressive.
Okay. All right.
I could, I just wouldn't because I don't want to break my neck.
And
What if
I
I?
and I let
What
me
if
the caveat of that is on a trampoline, but I did it over 4th of July weekend. So I still got it.
I don't like to jump too high?
Stay safe.
Absolutely, very
Right.
cautious. Very cautious.
Dave, we are
Greg.
wired to we know this. We've covered this 1,000 times that we're wired to be constantly seeking danger and negativity. And some stories allow us to seek that in a safe way. And now we're not and that's interesting. But to me, it's like what's more interesting about this topic is again, why do people do the things they do? Like what makes some people capable of crime? Or let me ask you this. Is anybody capable of crime?
Crime in general. So, yeah, of course.
Okay. All right.
Because immediately when we bring up this topic today, right? Your head, along with many other people, including myself, probably immediately went to murder
Yeah.
versus all the other different types of crime that this could be talking about.
Like thievery,
Yeah.
for example.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like just theft at your job or gang violence or whatever, anything.
Okay, yeah. So I like that one. I think that that's something that I kind of tapped into. Going through these sort of, I guess you could call them theories, like little separate theories on why people do or are involved in crime or why there's a societal issue with crime. I think it's really interesting because you can kind of see some of these have some real relevance and some of them make a lot of sense. And I think if you can understand somebody's story, like why they do the things they do, you can empathize a little bit better. Now, Dave,
Right.
like there's two main categories of these things. Like,
Hold
why don't
on.
you
Hold
run
on.
us through this a little bit?
So, Greg,
Yeah.
slow your roll,
All
Brian.
right, buddy.
Today's topic is crime theory.
Yeah, it is.
We should probably say the topic. I
You know
think I
what's
say this
funny?
all the time. We never actually said the topic.
But you know what though? When they click on the episode, it's there.
I know you said this before, but it's just a thing you do. You
All right.
say this is the topic, and you
Today
did
we're
a
talking about
very
crime theory.
yes, and you did your overview, which talked about what crime theory is. Because I'm sure there's people who are like, "What the hell is crime theory?"
Yeah, I was like that.
Yeah, exactly. So those people deserve to understand what this is about. And like you said, it's trying to come up with a theory that gives an explanation to why people do the things they do or what types of people are more likely to do the things they do. So yes, all right, getting into what you just asked. There are two main categories. Yep. Greg, why don't you take the first one?
Okay, so biological theories, right? It assumes that people are born criminals, physiologically different. That means that like if you pulled out Adolf Hitler's head and looked at his brain, it would like look kind of differently. There would be maybe damage in certain places, and it would just be like this biological component, almost to suggest that people could be born evil. Now, this is kind of an antiquated thought. Like previously, people would think that there would be physical characteristics of criminals, right? Like a sloping forehead, recessed chins. Good thing I had this like prominent chiseled chin, or else, because I would never be considered a criminal with that. But focus tended to
Handlebar
shift.
mustaches.
Oh, mustaches, that's like definitely a criminal. Or also law enforcement. So it can be confusing, right? The mustache can be misleading. But seriously though,
Also,
like
a
it's
flasher
not.
on the bike path.
What's that?
I said also a flasher on the bike path.
Okay, yes, yes. And well, as we talked about before, naughty movies, no mustache,
That's
right?
like the your go-to humble. You like want to go lean into that one, but it's
I don't
also a
know.
lot of other things
It's a lot of things.
that
They're
aren't
coming,
as
but they're
flattering.
making a comeback. Dave, lately I've been reading this book, and this is true. And this
Oh,
kind of it's about like famous psychological experiments, and it talks a lot about B.F. Skinner. And we know Skinner had this idea that a human could be made into anything. And we should not be worrying about, like what people are thinking or what they called at the time mentalism, quote unquote. We should be only changing and modifying behavior. So people hated this because he was basically saying that he could change a human into anything. If he had it as a baby, he would be able to change it into either like, a monster, like a criminal, or like a
mhm.
lawyer or a doctor. Like he thought he had this, if, with like positive punishment and like reinforcement and all this thing, like you could kind of it didn't really matter what people were thinking. If you focus on their behavior, you can create any kind of human. But what he ultimately, why people started to dislike him so much is because he thought that that's what we should be doing, is creating very specific kinds of people that like fit into like like a, I don't know, like what do they call those societies that are like perfect? Like
Oh, I don't know,
utopia.
Pleasantville.
Yeah, Pleasantville, sure. But that's what he thought. And so like he really thought that you could change a human being into anything, which is kind of an interesting take on the biological theory, which is like against it, right? Which is saying, so that's the biological theory saying like you're born a criminal, and B.F. Skinner's like you're not born a criminal, but you could made to be anything. And I don't think I agree with either one of those fully.
I didn't know that Principal Skinner from The Simpsons was so into crime theory.
He was, he was, he was keeping all kinds of animals in cages and stuff. It was kind of
That's
weird.
and then giving Bart detention. So pretty busy guy.
Pretty busy
Um,
guy.
so the other types of theories are more sociological, which would suggest that crime is shaped more by like external factors such as experiences in your neighborhood, your peer group that you hang out with, family and family experiences, things like that. So the thing that we often come back to, especially in our true crime, especially like our serial killer episodes, specifically nature versus nurture, things
Totally.
like that. And often we do find that the upbringings of a lot of the individuals are usually pretty traumatic, right?
Yeah, I mean, like this is has to be the way it is, right? Because when you think of like a person like Beth Thomas, who was an
Mm.
episode we talked about
Wait, say
before,
that one more time.
when you think about a
No, no,
person
no. Before that, this
like
has got
this,
to be the way it is.
sociological theories have to be the.
Wow, you sound pretty definitive about that.
I think so. I mean, it kind of has to be that way. I mean, people are created through their environments, and I don't think that you're beholden to your environment. I don't think it's just your environment, but there has to be some kind of moral compass that's, I don't know, installed in you at some point in your life to be able to do. You have to know what good is to be able to do it.
It's a good thing that there's two hosts of this show. Otherwise, this show would be done right now if we're up to you. You just feel like you answered the question, right? You just came up with your own crime theory right there.
Yeah, I did.
Wow. Greg
Well,
says show over.
I'm good for stuff like that.
So yeah, those are the two main categories of theory types, I guess we would say. We got biological and sociological. Greg is weighing heavy on his sociological, so I'll let hopefully by the end of this discussion, people can kind of start to make their own conclusions, thought processes, but obviously, I don't think there's one specific answer that's going to come out of any discussion about this, right?
No.
No.
And that's what's fun about psychology. You can't be wrong.
Yes. So, all right, here's the thing. There's a ton of theories. There's so many, I didn't even bother counting the list. Did you count?
I didn't count. I
We're
didn't know
so
that was going to
lazy,
be a
we did not
test.
even count. All
Yeah,
right, there is a ton. We are not going to go into detail about every one of them. What you will find is some are somewhat similar, right? There's kind of some overlap in some. And some are probably a little bit more interesting or less known than others. And yeah, we can kind of breeze through most, but we might take a little more time on a few of them, right?
I agree.
Kind of what we decided, right?
I think that's a good approach.
Okay. So all right. So one of the first ones right off the bat is the choice theory. So this is the belief that individuals choose to commit a crime, looking at the opportunities that are ahead of them, right? And then they weigh the benefits versus the punishment, and then they decide whether to proceed or not. So, yeah, I mean, that makes a lot of sense. It's all about choice. Here's another one that's very similar though. I'm gonna scroll down on my list here because I think that this one down here really is all right. So is it classical? Is that the one? Okay, I think it's classical. I hope it is because I'm about to talk about it. So classical theory is very similar to choice theory because it again it's all about people making the decision to commit the crime, right? And the individual in that commits the crime at some point decides that it is in their benefit to commit the crime um, because the benefits of the crime outweigh the dangers of the crime, right?
Yeah.
So let's see. If so the choice is made by applying what they call the pain pleasure principle. And they say that people act in ways that maximize pleasure and minimize pain. So that follows the belief that people are hedonistic, which we talked about recently with the
Mm.
ikigai hedonic pleasure type thing, and will seek pleasure at every opportunity and avoid pain. Therefore, the way to prevent crime, according to this classical theory, is to do the deterrence um, by making the risk of doing the crime like bad, making the
Yeah.
punishment worse than actually getting whatever it is that you're trying to obtain. So the thing that this doesn't really answer, and if I'm not making sense here, Greg, please stop me. The thing that this doesn't answer is why people still continue to commit crimes, even though we have, you know, we know what our punishments are going to be, right? We know that if I do this, I'll probably get arrested, and so why do people do these big heists? Why do people do crimes that they're very clearly going to get caught for? And in my personal opinion, this is what I think. I think that when people actually follow through to perform a crime, to commit a crime, I do think that they do believe that they're not going to get caught. I don't think a person goes forward with a crime and actually wants to obtain whatever that crime is. It's not like they're on a mission to get themselves caught. If they really want whatever it is, I think they think they're not going to get caught. They're going to be too quick. They're going to get there before they get, apprehended, or they think that their plan is, just so smart that they're not going to get caught. I think that they feel they have the answer that's going to avoid whatever that pain response is, right?
Yeah, the pleasure pain thing is very Freudian. I think that's a very cool approach, and it does make sense. Um, but there's a few things missing with it. One is it's eliminating this idea that I think most crime probably comes from, and we're gonna just I'm gonna mention this and we'll step away from it because we're basically talking about people who are with it. We're not talking about drug induced crime. We're not talking about mania or psychosis or like intellectual issues of any kind, right? We're talking about why people choose to commit crimes. I think, right? That's kind of the
Mm-hmm.
way I'm like looking at this.
Right.
And in the classical theory, it's like if for whatever reason I lost all my jobs, and I couldn't like feed my kids and I was looking at my kids, I would know that I could get caught and I would know that I might get caught. But it's like the risk isn't enough to deter like the benefit of the reward. Does that make sense? So that's where I would say like that falls into place. And then like, as we go further down, you'll see some theories that are like, I don't know, maybe questioning, say that same scenario that I just kind of put out there. Is that a crime? It's against the law. I mean, I guess a crime is something that's not intrinsically bad in nature, right?
Hmm.
It's just against the law.
So I have an example of that might be like somewhat of an analogy of all this. So
Okay.
you know that like I've done some abandoned photography, which you know, truth be told, does involve a level of trespassing when you're going to do that.
Hmm.
So one of the things that sometimes gets weighed is what will be the response if I am caught trespassing, or if whoever decides to do this is caught trespassing. Some places it's most likely you'll just get a ticket. Some places you might just get talked to and released, and then other places it might be a full thing, right? There might be a big fine, there might be, actually apprehended, things like that. So when you're making the decision to go forward, you know those risks, and you're weighing, is whatever I'm about to do worth that risk, right? And
Yeah.
that, if I'm looking at the most severe punishment, I might say, hey, I'm not going to go do that because that doesn't sound worth it. But I might say, hey, getting some photos that I really want to get, or seeing this thing that I've been wanting to see, might be worth getting a ticket. Yeah, not a big deal. It's not gonna. It might suck for a minute, and maybe there's some kind of fine along with that, but like might not be the worst thing in the world.
Like almost like Hammurabi's code, right? Like the crime matches, like you're almost willing to risk a small, punishment for
Yeah,
a small crime.
right. But if it's a bigger crime, you would have to think the individual does not plan to get apprehended and then put in jail for a period of time, right? You would have to think that they are telling themselves, I am not going to get caught because my plan is solid enough that I am not going to get arrested here.
It's almost like you're talking about something, almost like the addiction or like a dopamine circuit, right? Where it's like the goal becomes bigger than, the risks. It's like the possibility of something coming true is more powerful than the potential risk. Maybe you've deceived yourselves against the risks. Might be,
Yeah.
who knows, right?
Now, what we're talking about here with choice and classical theory, I'm having a hard time putting them into the category of, they don't sound biological,
Mm-mm.
because we're not talking about anything that's like intrinsic in them, or has anything to do with the way they've developed, or anything like that. It also doesn't sound like sociological, but I think there is a sociological piece of this though, and
Yeah, so it's
it's depending on who they're
environmental.
surrounded
Yeah,
by and the attitudes of those they're surrounded by, right?
exactly. And that's the same as this next one, conflict theory, which we don't even really need to get into too much because conflict theory is just the theory that holds that crime results from the conflicts in society among the different social classes. And the laws are put in place from necessity as a result of conflict. So it's basically saying like, when there was a small group of people in power and there's a lot of people to control, the upper echelon of people create laws so that they can stay in control. It's like, yeah, that's
Dark
happening.
psychology.
That's happening, right? I
Yeah.
mean, that's something that's absolutely happening. Dave, why don't you jump into critical theory and then I'll take the next one.
Okay, critical theory. So this one, it holds the crime results from the conflicts in society among the different social classes, and that, wait, which one did you say? Conflict theory? No, which one did you?
Critical.
Critical. Sorry.
Yes, it's okay.
I was reading conflict theory. Sorry about that. Critical theory upholds the belief that a small few, the elite of the society, decide laws and the definition of crime, and those who commit the crimes disagree with the laws that were created to keep control over them. I mean, very similar to
Very
conflict
similar.
in some ways. You know what this reminds me of? If anybody watches Handmaid's Tale, so it's, we have the oh geez, it's escaping me, and everybody's probably going to be yelling. Who like determine the laws, and the handmaidens are sitting there saying like, this is not right. These are not fair laws right here,
Hmm.
right? And you see them start to rebel and commit the crimes against the laws that
Dave, it's
are.
also like a throwback to one of our older episodes, The Seven Deadly Sins, where it's like these biological things that are like innate in all of us. We shouldn't indulge in them all the way through, of course, but like I mean, just and religions and stuff like that. Not that I'm not saying anything against that, but like a lot of these things are created so that the few can keep the many in control, I
Right.
think.
Right. And I mean, I feel like you and I kind of always find those kind of things interesting, like power dynamics and
Mm-hmm.
how they play out amongst society, because it's something that we see on a daily basis in so many different areas. But yet it seems to be so not talked about or
Mm.
just pointed out in different ways. So
Yeah, like
I
no one's ever uncomfortable about our political system and how it just really conveniently seems to like split the population so that there can't be like a strength against government. You know what I mean?
sure. I great point. Great
Like
point.
it's seems pretty planned, but we all just can't get by the past the
Right.
fact that like because you want to know what it is, like you're playing with people's emotions and their values, and then like so they find the values that like conflicting values instead of values that people have in common, and they really plug away at those, and it separates people instead of brings them together. It's kind of genius if it's really happening that way.
I mean, a great example of that is how someone can even switch political parties. They're they're playing on the topics that they know are divisive in our society in order to do exactly what you're saying, get us to
Mhm.
pick sides, stay divided, keep these political parties powerful.
Scary.
Super scary. All right, Greg, what's next?
All right, so labeling theory. All right. So those who follow the labeling theory of criminology ascribe to the fact that an individual will become what he is labeled or what others expect him to become. The danger comes from calling a crime, and a criminal a criminal. Now, this one's interesting. So this is like a self-fulfilling prophecy, and like we talk about when you're depressed or you're anxious, you see like evidence of that. You see, or if you have bad self-esteem, you'll see evidence of like why you're not good enough all over the world. It's like this weird confirmation bias thing. Just think about like the delinquent teenager, the ex-felon trying to get a job, or like even just take those two, like the delinquent teenager, like everyone thinks you're an F up, right? Everyone thinks you're a screw up. Everyone thinks you're gonna be smoking pot behind the school. I know I'm talking like this is like 1987, but like you really are expected to mess up. So you're like, well, the hell with it. Like I'm just going to do that, right?
You just throw your trapper keeper down on the ground and
Set your
walk
homework on
away.
fire,
Trapper
smoke a
keeper.
cigarette,
Yep.
right? So it's
Yep.
like you ever seen The Breakfast Club?
No, Greg.
Okay, sorry. Well, well, it has all the archetypes of like teenage life, and they have to fit into those categories. They have to like behave like what they're sort of labeled to be. I mean, I'm trying to think of like other ways that this makes sense. It's like,
Greg, everybody gets it.
okay,
We get it. Um,
all right, fair enough.
yeah, but if you think about it though, where does it start? Where does the label start? A
It starts
mistake?
with you screwing up, I think.
Yeah, a
Yeah,
mistake. So
yeah,
sometimes it can, which is sad if you think about it. Like, or even, the thing is also sometimes we just go through phases where sometimes we're not as
sure.
interested in a thing or we act a certain way, especially as kids. Like, how many different personas did you have growing up?
Oh,
Did
dude.
you go through different personas?
I mean,
You were
I
just
did.
always
I
wearing
can think
Grateful
of one.
Dead tie-dye shirts throughout your whole life?
Yeah, so I have had identities. Like I'm wearing the Grateful Dead shirt now. I had a ton of hemp necklaces with gigantic beads on them. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, it's just a lot of sandals. I mean, so yeah, like we all kind of go through these things. And then as I'm talking about these labels, you know what I'm thinking of, which I kind of feel bad for. My sister had friends growing up, and there was like, I remember this one girl got labeled, and this is gonna we can't really speak to this, but like it must be awful when you're a girl and like there's the when we were growing up, like a slut label, that follows you. And then there must be a point where you get to where you're like, the hell with it, right? I mean,
Right.
I don't know. It just sucks. Like the labeling thing sucks.
Because, yeah, it follows you. But at some point, you almost, like you said, it's almost self-fulfilling prophecy. Like you become the thing that everybody's
Hmm.
telling you are. And I've been exposed to this quite a bit with working with kids. Um, and especially working with kids who struggle with behavioral issues, and also like some of them I also had some kind of cognitive disability, but like the behavioral issues is huge because if they're always being told they're wrong or bad,
Hmm.
and eventually they just get that mindset that I'm wrong or I'm bad, right?
And it's beyond that because I've dealt with this with my own one of my own children. I've told you about before, where he might not do so great in certain things in school. It takes him a little bit more to kind of understand it. And he's a tough kid and he's a big kid and he's a strong kid. So he's like, I'd rather be the punk and maybe like get a laugh or get like or maybe like do like act out instead of having like being noticed as the dumb kid. It feels more comfortable. It's like he feels more powerful that way. And it's like,
Yep.
man, we gotta like make a little space for these kids to figure out what's right about them versus what's wrong about them. I hate that. I hate
Yeah.
that like setup that we got in school. It's so frustrating.
This one's a real thing for sure. um,
Yeah,
I
it
don't know
is.
that it necessarily makes murderers,
No,
but it definitely can make criminals.
it's sure, absolutely. It's a slippery slope. Let's call
I
it that.
guarantee you, if we interviewed, people who have had, long rap sheets, and people, even in prison for various things, we would probably find a lot of this kind of stuff in their history. It would be really interesting to do
Yeah,
research
and that's
like
why
that.
people like a lot of people move away. They want to like
Start
drop the
over.
label,
Yeah.
you know?
I think the hard part is some people don't even know that's why they like the insight isn't always there for some
Yeah.
people. I think some people can speak to it pretty well. Like, I've always been this way. People always tell me I'm this way. So at some point I just gave up. But other people I feel like don't even know that's why they do the things they do
Hmm.
sometimes. You know what I mean?
So what's expected of them, you
Right.
know? Yeah.
All right. Life course theory. This theory is that a person's course in life is determined by short transitory and long trajectory events in their life. And crime can result when a transitory event causes stress in a person's life, causing them to commit a crime against society.
What do you think about that one?
Um, Eileen Warnos.
Okay.
No,
No,
right?
go on.
No, yeah,
Yeah, sure.
right.
Eileen
She
Wuornos
she
can
was
fits into
wrong.
all of these.
Yeah,
They used to call her
for
cigarette
sure.
pig. That's a label.
Wow. Yeah,
It
horrible.
is. And it's
So
terrible. I mean,
if you think
life.
about like her major crimes though, because
Yeah.
obviously there was like lower level stuff prior. Her major crimes were because she was so angry of the way that she was treated, right?
Yeah, so and this one's just basically saying like we are the way we are because of the things that happen to us. And like part of their therapeutic approach is like we aren't the things that happen to us, we are who we want to become, right? So
Yeah,
it's like, yeah,
yeah,
the life course theory is kind of obvious to me, I think, right? It almost
yeah. I
goes
guess
without
it's
saying.
not groundbreaking.
Yeah.
Greg's like, come on,
Come on.
this isn't even
Come on.
groundbreaking.
This is baby stuff.
Boring. Yeah, this is nothing.
But I guess someone had to put that forth, right?
Yeah,
How about the positivist theory? And then after this one is like one of my favorites. The positivist theory rejects the idea that each individual makes a conscious, rational choice to commit a crime. Rather, some individuals are abnormal in intelligence, social acceptance, or in some other way that causes them to commit a crime. Now, this is the one that's biological. I would say that sounds very biological, doesn't it?
yeah.
And what do you think about that? There's a bit of biology that's got to play a role in it, right?
So you said before, you can't say that now. You
Well,
said
I mean, I'm saying
before it
I'm not
has
saying
to
that
be
I can't
sociological.
subscribe to either fully, but I think it's mostly environmental.
Look
And
who's
based.
changing their
I'm
tune.
not changing my tune. I'm saying
Wow.
there's a biological component.
10 theories in and he's already changing his
I know,
tune.
I know. I read 3 sentences from that one theory, and I'm like, you know what? That's it.
So yeah, no, I actually believe there's a little bit of both, because I do believe there are personality types that, and there's a theory that kind of gets into that are more like, what's the word, that not prone but something along those lines, would make you more prone to do certain things, or to kind of just thrill seek or do things outside of the box a little bit more.
Mm.
I do think there's a biological approach to it. Now, I do think that we make conscious choices. I don't know that they're always rational choices, but
Right.
I do think we make conscious choices when we're committing crimes.
Okay. So that's a nice segue into rational choice theory. The fact that you just said rational choice.
I guess that's like the perfect segue.
It is. It's not
Oh my
bad.
God. Yeah.
So this is the rational choice theory is something we've kind of touched upon, and that's the reasons that an individual thinks through each actions, deciding on whether the risk of committing a crime to reap the benefits of the crime, whether it's financial pleasure or some other result. And this is where I was kind of thinking of, like someone who needs to get something for their family or to
Wait,
survive for
what's the
themselves,
difference between this and
like four other ones, the classical
yeah,
theory.
this is
Yeah,
exactly the same thing in
I
my
know.
opinion.
I know.
Classical. Yeah, yeah. Classical in choice. But mostly classical. Like this is exactly the same to me.
It is.
But you love this one so much.
I mean, it makes sense. I don't love it. I love the social control theory, but why don't you read routine activity theory?
Soon. Hold on. Wait for it.
Okay.
Scrolling.
Okay.
Routine. All right. Followers of the routine activity theory believe that the crime is inevitable and if a target is attractive enough, crime will happen. Effective measures must be in place and deter crime from happening. Again, sounds super similar to a bunch we've already talked about.
Yeah, I don't know. What do you think about that one?
Same. I feel all right. It's just different wording, but saying the same thing. If the crime is attractive enough, basically, if it's enough money or if it's enough whatever it is I'm looking for, I'm going to do it. But if you can put in some kind of like response that's not worth doing it for, that might deter me. Isn't that exactly what I talked about with
Yeah, but see,
classical?
like I disagree with that one because I think that like the perfect crime has to be a balance of like it can't be like, oh, $1 trillion. I don't think it's like the bigger the goal or the bigger the reward, the more, it lends itself to crime. I think it's like this like balance of not that much risk, kind of a good reward. Like it's almost like on the fence, right? I don't think it's the
Greg,
extremes.
you're describing the kind of crimes that you would do,
Oh yeah, that's right.
not the kind of crimes that people are doing
I
and
just
probably
slip
being
right under the
apprehended for.
radar. Come on, what are we doing here?
I mean, all right, so I'm going to be honest. Like the thing that keeps popping in my head is I think about like, and this is just be a byproduct of being a Caucasian, like middle class
Yeah.
guy who grew up watching freaking Menace to Society and like all, those urban crime movie like coming of age movies. Like I always think of like the convenience store
Yeah.
robberies that you would see in like every single one of those films, right? Um, what would make someone do that? Need to get money for whatever reason.
Labeling
Oh,
already, right?
labeling, I guess for sure. Definitely your surroundings, right?
Uh-huh.
It's kind of a thing that maybe is deemed needed at times, and also like class issues right there, right?
Yeah.
Like we need to make our money, or
There's a
we're not
class
gonna.
issue thing for sure.
There's so many different things, right? I don't think that they're like, is like I don't know if this is the perfect crime. Let me not do this. I don't know that that's the thing that's like being weighed.
I mean, it's literally called a convenience store because it's so convenient to rob them.
I think they also probably think they can get it done before anybody responds.
Hmm.
In some areas, they probably also think that like nobody cares. Cops here don't care.
Although the opportunity thing it does make a lot of sense when it comes to like when you see a lot of looting and stuff like that.
Oh, 100%.
You know what I mean?
Is it still crime if it's a communal thing?
It's harder to be caught, I think.
Right, right.
You
So
know?
yeah, I don't know if these crime theories apply to like riots, right?
Yeah, no, it's
Or is that?
interesting.
I mean, I guess it does. I guess it could because it's opportunistic. But yeah, like who is more likely to loot in a riot? I wonder if there's like a theory around that.
Yeah, that is interesting. Well, let's try this one because I do like this one and I kind of added a little bit to it. So social control theory. So theorists believe it is society's responsibility to maintain a certain degree of stability and certainty in an individual's life to make the rules and responsibilities clear and to create other activities to thwart criminal activity. So I like this theory because it makes me ask the question, and Dave, I'll pose this to you. Is some level of criminality necessary for society to function? It's
Like,
an
what would
interesting
happen
thought.
if nobody committed crime?
Yeah. I don't know. Like it's a weird question, but like I don't know. Well, we wouldn't need police. We wouldn't need like
There's some people who don't
certain.
think we need them to begin with.
I know I do, but like I think like there's so much odd like weirdly we need a little bit of criminality. Maybe it's like a fear thing. I don't know. But here's the thing.
Hmm.
It goes on because this guy Emil Durkheim, um, who was in that way back in our psychology books, he said that crime is unavoidable in society because individuals will always differ from the collective norm. So think about and he put this example forward. In a society of saints, a minor misstep would be considered a heinous crime. So the deviancy of a culture is relative. And that's cool commentary for like what's going on in society right now, right? So the further we allow crime to go, like the more like sort of like we normalize it, the worse it'll get
Yeah,
because
and that
crime isn't
that
it funny to think about it
that's
like that?
absolutely happening right now.
Think about like what a scary movie was. Think about like what a crime was in like in the 20s versus like now. You see things that are way different. And what does
I
that
mean,
mean?
it's on like a significantly larger level, the crimes we're talking about, and the more we've been exposed to them, the more we kind of like start to be desensitized to some of them, and it's like becoming normalized. Therefore, we will accept more and more.
Yeah.
But what he said is right. If crime wasn't present, a little thing would seem like a huge issue.
Think
So
about like the Victorian era where like you see like a woman's ankles and be like, "Oh my God, label her a slut." You know what I mean?
right,
Right?
right.
Like and now it's what I mean? It's like different, right? I mean, and that's there's some good to that, and then there's some like I don't know, you lose a little bit too, I guess. I don't know what the answer to any of this is, but it's interesting, Dave, and let me just go on a little bit about because like coupled onto this theory is typically strain theory, and that's when people are unable to achieve culturally approved goals through legitimate means. So if you think about like immigration, right? People will use illegitimate means, and maybe this explains like the development of gangs and mafia and subcultures because in those little subcultures, like the mafia, if you watch The Sopranos or gang like shows, you can see that they have their own values and laws within that little subculture itself, which is kind of cool. And then it's like which laws are the laws, and are you a criminal if you're breaking the societal laws, but you don't feel like you're a part of that society, so you're following the laws within your subculture, so maybe you're not a criminal. I don't know.
Yeah,
Weird,
interesting.
right?
Yeah,
That's
yes.
So it's almost like that. There's no honor among thieves, but yeah, it kind of is.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, that's isn't that why we all love Goodfellas?
it
Because
is why it is why
we
we all love
like
it.
seeing the inner workings of crime units and how even they have their own like checks and balances and measures of maintaining loyalty and different things. Yeah.
It's cool, right? And then it's like it also is like we get to view that world safely because we're not engaged in it because it's like it polices itself, right?
Right.
Like they're all shooting each other, but you don't have to worry about it because you're not part of it. I don't
You know
know.
what it just made me think of?
What's that?
Is it was it Mystic River where Sean Penn is kind of like it's his daughter that's like found murdered in the woods, but then we end up finding he's kind of in his own gang, right?
Yep.
And he kind of polices the streets, and people even in the town have fear and respect for him because he keeps them safe, right? So
Yes.
like even within his own community, even though he is a criminal, he's also looked at as kind of like an authority figure
Yes.
because people know he will get things done that maybe the police can't get done in order to keep
That
them
was how
safe.
Federal Hills run here in Providence, right?
Right.
Petriaca. I mean, that like New England crime family whole thing. Like people talk about that as like this glorified memory of a time where you could walk down and like if you didn't have a turkey for Thanksgiving, the mob would buy you one, right? I
Right.
mean, it's
Right.
like an old. I don't know. It's almost something that we like cherish almost as a part of the Rhode Island culture, even though there's a definitely a dark side to it as well.
Yeah, it's interesting how we can hang on to things like that and use them as almost like um bragging points.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
is it all right? Is it weird that society glorifies crime in a way, or kind of like as much as we act like we don't like crime and we're come up with theories to kind of figure out who commits crime, we also kind of love crime.
We do.
We fill our minds with watching crime shows and crime movies and what's the movie
It's
with
the same reason why we love horror. We like to have like we like to be able to explain things. We like to be
sure.
able to say that like we want to understand crime because we want to feel like we somehow can control what's going on and like have an idea of if we can understand it, if we get inside the deviant mind, we can understand it a little bit better, and maybe that protects us from it, and maybe that helps
Yeah,
reassures us that we're not that.
but like, all right, think about a movie like The Town,
Hmm.
with Ben Affleck.
Yeah, I'm with
Like
you, dude. Trust me.
we're not thinking in like, oh, I got to get into his mind and figure out why he does all this crime. He's like a sympathetic character, kind of rooting
Yeah,
for the
he's a
crimes,
sympathetic character because, and you want to know why that is? Because we get an opportunity to see why he is the way he is.
and then we love the crime.
And then he's like super friggin' dreamy, smoking hot too.
Jeez, that's your opinion.
Honestly, that was peak Apex Mountain, as they say. Um, Affleck, I think.
Yeah,
That was at his top of his powers.
he was your hall pass. He's your celebrity hall pass.
Yeah, he's both of our hall pass.
No, he's not my
I
hall
meant me
pass.
and my
Oh, I thought
person.
you meant me and you. I'm
You
like,
could pick
no,
your own part. You could pick your own hall pass. Is yours Renner from the same movie?
nope,
Whose car we taking? That's a
no,
quote.
no, I'm not
That's a
into
good
him.
quote from the movie.
I'm not into him.
Oh, see, now we're lost here. Oh, okay. Let me just say one more thing, and then you get into social disorganization. Social bonds is a cool theory because it's just this idea that people do not commit crimes, relatively speaking. Of course, there's outliers. If they have a strong family connection or strong relationships, like that, those strong relationships serve as a deterrent to crime.
Doesn't that go against the whole mafia gang mentality though? Like, wouldn't that be all about close relationships and committing crime?
Well, yes, but again, you'd have to really kind of like almost do like an inception moment because inside of that subculture, you'd be less likely to commit crimes against that subculture because of the social bonds.
See, I don't know if I buy that theory. I don't
Okay,
know if
don't buy
that.
it. Shit. I mean, I'm
No,
just talking.
I'm just thinking in my head as you're describing it. I'm like, I don't know that. I mean, I'm sure that probably deters some people because they don't want the risk of getting caught would pull them away from the people that they're have the strong bonds with.
Mhm.
Yeah, I guess. All right. Here's the thing about these theories. Can't they all kind of be true?
Dude, that was how I was gonna round it all off at the end, but
Oh
thanks.
man. So I guess for
It's
some people, social bonds is true.
for yeah,
Like
absolutely.
you didn't commit some crimes because you didn't want to get pulled away from your family. So you said,
Absolutely.
I can't do this, guys. I can't do
Otherwise, I'd
this
be at every
heist.
convenience store
Right.
because on account of the convenience.
Right.
Yeah,
You do live very close to a Cumberland
I do.
Farms.
I
They
live
are
basically
so
across the street from a
lucky.
7-Eleven.
They are so lucky.
What a neighborhood.
They're lucky you have such close bonds. They're
Does
always
anybody
saying it
else have
too.
7-Eleven front property like me? Oh man.
Fancy.
Please, Patreon.
Social disorganization theory suggests that crimes occur in communities that experience breakdown um, in social mores and opportunities, such as highly populated, lower income urban communities. I mean, this is a given, right?
Yeah.
And it's the thing we all know, and it's kind of the thing we've referenced a few times. If you're in a community that is struggling, right? I think that there becomes a little bit of an attitude of either there's that mentality of like the individuals who want to get out of the community by, doing whatever they can, getting successful. But then there's also that other thought process of like, I got to make ends meet however I can make them meet.
Yeah, like
Gotta eat.
there's two things with that. Like one is the Monopoly game that you're kind of like beat down with this with like a sociological class where it's like, all right, everyone, you got a chance to make it out of this system, like this crappy system that you were born into. But it's like starting a Monopoly with like 300 instead of 1500. You could roll and roll and roll and like get on a roll and just like do really well, or you could like land on the first thing and just laugh, like be completely busted. So
Right.
like you don't have the same sort of cultural capital or backing that other people might have. And the other thing is like I've heard someone define stress as when the resources don't meet the demands. And that's sort of the same theory too, where it's like I want to be better, but the resources and I want this life. I want, I see things that I want. I see, other people have like this nice stuff or like these opportunities, but my resources, I just don't have the resources for that. So how do I get those resources? Sometimes you have to get those resources through illegal means. And maybe sometimes it's your only shot. And I think like that's unfair. And that
So
sucks.
one of the scenarios that comes to my mind, just thinking of movie references to kind of give analogies of this.
Sure.
Uh, One of my all-time favorites, Boys in the Hood.
It's a great
You
movie.
have the one guy that's going to go to college, going to play football, right?
Was it Ricky?
Ricky.
Yeah.
And then you have some of the other uh, individuals. Got Ice Cube, Doughboy, right? You
Doughboy,
got
man.
who they would rather, I shouldn't say rather, they make their ends meet by, whatever they're doing, selling
And it's
drugs,
complicated, isn't it?
right? Does that make them bad people? No, right? In many ways, they, I think that the movie kind of highlights that they're not
Like
bad
Doughboy
people,
was a good person, but a criminal.
right? They just do what they got to do. And in the sad thing is that when Ricky's character dies, he gets shot, right? It's like you feel so sad for him because that was the one that had that mindset that like he was going to get his way out the
Hmm.
right way, right? The legal way, and it didn't pay out. It didn't play out for him. He didn't have any means of protection.
Yeah.
Sad.
Great movie though.
Great
Cuba
movie.
Gooding ends up being like he's gonna get out. But
He yeah,
he's already got one foot out.
he had yeah,
So he's
he
got
had
more
an
resources.
opportunity.
Yeah.
Right. The rest didn't.
Yeah. Wow. Cool. How about social learning theory? So that's social learning indicates that individuals learn from those around them. That's kind of what we're talking about here. And they base their morals and activities on what they see others in their social environment doing. Okay. Another one. Yep.
There.
Like
Okay.
no dur.
I mean, all these kind of start to blend together.
Yeah.
That could also be very similar to what we just previously talked about.
Right.
If you're in a community where it's kind of like that's how you make ends meet, or that's how you get by, or that's how you maybe get a step up, probably more likely to do it, I would
Or maybe
assume.
that's all you know.
That's all you know.
It's all you know is it's the only it makes no sense to do anything else. You're not
Yeah.
gonna it's not like you've grown up or in an area or with people who don't feel like that's wrong because they've grown up in an area with the people that they don't feel like that's wrong. And then like, why would you think that is wrong? It's all you know.
Yeah.
Trait
Trait
theory? Go
theory.
go for
This
it.
is an interesting one. So, those who follow this theory believe that individuals have certain traits that will contribute to whether or not they are capable of committing a crime when pushed in a certain direction or when they're in duress. Traits are basic or stable ways that people's personalities or characteristics present. An example of that could be like this person introverted, this person's extroverted, things like that. You know, I think there's something to this one, and this is
Totally.
more the biological aspect. And I was kind of alluding to this last week, Greg, and I don't know if you were picking it up as much about the substance abuse. And I gathered that from some individuals who I've been able to chat with a little bit about substance abuse or even had interactions with people, and there's certain traits that I've noticed with
Hmm.
people with substance abuse, but also, we had one of our very first episodes. We interviewed Mike Leibowitz, who was in prison at the time, no longer in prison. I feel like he was kind of talking about this though. He said one of the things that a lot of the individuals that he talked to in prison had in common was a lot of them had a propensity for lying, kind
Hmm.
of saying what they need, knowing like how to get by. I think kind of knowing what to say and who to say it to at times. Uh, just different
What about this
qualities.
trait?
Go ahead.
Um, Impulsivity.
Sure, sure.
I
If
think
I
that would be
mean
one.
100%, you don't think about pros and cons if you haven't. Oh, and like I deal with that on a very regular
Yeah.
basis with individuals I work with. A lot of the individuals I work with in my group home settings struggle with impulsivity as well as some cognitive deficits, and their decision making is super impaired.
So like emotional regulation, impulsivity, lack of insight, that's all like imminent risk,
I
you know.
and I, there's probably this would be an interesting one. I mean, I don't feel super motivated to do it. This would be an interesting one to get a longer list of like what kind of traits would, play into someone committing crimes. I definitely think there's probably more than we even like
Yes,
deceit, being
yeah,
able to deceive without experiencing as much, guilt. Like what
empathy.
what prevents you from lying to people?
Well, like guilt and
Right.
shame
And some
and
people
like
probably feel that less, right?
yeah, of course. Like it's talking like more along the lines of like an antisocial personality disorder.
Or
But I
what about
think
like a
like everything's
narcissistic person?
well, sure. And but it's all on a spectrum, right? I mean, there's like, you don't have to be like without empathy, like this, sociopath, antisocial personality disorder, which, not everyone with antisocial personality disorder is a dangerous, scary person, but
Well, and that's something we have to remember with everything.
yeah.
You're
But
not just because
like
you
it's on
have
a
something
spectrum
doesn't
though,
mean you're
right?
that.
Like maybe you don't feel as much empathy as other people, maybe you can kind of overpower that a little bit with like desire or
Sure.
you have impulsive moments or you have difficulty regulating your emotions and then that empathy or that moral compass, whatever you call that, your values isn't strong enough. That's why building your values is so important.
So here's the caveat though. You can have whatever traits. The thing that I personally feel has to be present in order for the crime to be committed is opportunity.
Hmm.
You could have all those traits that maybe would make you a little bit more of a candidate for someone who's person who could commit crimes. But if the opportunity doesn't arise, you are not going to commit the crime.
So there's a societal, and that's where like the societal sort of responsibilities, like police forces and things like that. That's where that starts to like make sense,
Yeah.
like a
Now,
deterrence.
are there people who commit crime just for the sake of committing crime?
Yes.
And they
Um.
probably wouldn't fall into any of these theories.
No, and that's so that would be outside. I think these theories are to explain relatively quote unquote.
Explainable cases. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Not like those things where I talked about in the beginning with like whether it's drug use, mental illness. I mean, like these are some of the things that explain a huge portion of
Yeah. Like if we're talking on a larger scale, like a serial killer who's literally just looking to be notorious, right?
yeah,
Or, and this is a sensitive subject, but like how many times have we heard of a school shooting for someone who
I
just
know.
wanted to make a name for himself to do
Terrible.
something so big that he would be infamous for that. Like we've heard that story before. Things like that. I think those fall out of the realm of these
Yeah, and that's
theories.
like that's a conversation that we've had so many times. That's an issue of reverence or values or there's no more sort of guardrails on the road anymore for people. Anything goes these days. Um, some things are just not okay. You know, yeah, it's just some things are just not okay, and we got to be
Pro-
kind of like
Profound words with Greg.
policing that.
Maybe
Some things are just not okay. Is not
that is a shirt right there.
that's not a bad quote.
Some things are just not okay. Greg C.
Yeah, like the Coldplay incident. That's topical.
Oh, you know about that.
I do. I do.
Yeah, it's not okay
So
to to blast your boy up on Jumbotron like that. No, that
you
was
know,
horrible.
and like I did a little reel, if you guys look at Instagram reels, and I did kind of like mention it, because it is like to me, I'm pleasantly surprised by the pushback, and like it seems to me like it's like almost like this antiquated like value system that I'm seeing in people. Like, yeah, don't do that. That's gross. Like, why would you? You know what I mean? And it's like, oh, cool. Because like I was worried that some of the comments would be like, let them do their thing or whatever, and it's like, no, it's
Right, right.
not like
No, I
that.
don't think anybody thinks that.
No one thought
Well,
that, and I
it's
think
like
that's
the perfect
awesome.
it's the perfect storm too, because I'm gonna make an assumption that they're two wealthy individuals.
Hmm.
So right there you have obviously we're all kind of rooting against them for
Yeah,
that reason.
yeah.
And it's gross.
It's
And
gross. And like you're listening to these like Coldplay love songs and you're like canoodling and it's like you have a family at home and it's like
their response is
gross.
like probably similar to what most people's responses would be, because you wouldn't know what to do, or you just hope that like it goes fast enough that nobody's paying attention. But
Yeah,
the response is also gross, to
I
like
know.
laugh and smile. But like, what else are they gonna do? They're not gonna be like, oh my god,
I
because
know.
then everybody will be like, oh, what just happened? They should have like pushed each other and then pretended they were fighting.
It's amazing how, yeah, it's amazing how, like, how I've seen that. You know what I mean? Like, typically I would be the last person to know
It's
anything.
literally everywhere. I know I had someone else say it to me today, and I was like, you saw that? Wow, it
Yeah,
really is getting everywhere.
that's like
When I saw it the other day, I didn't think it was gonna reach the magnitude that it got to. Yeah.
something else. Anyway, so I guess that's crime theory. And that was a listener suggestion.
Yes, it was. So thank
And
you for that. And hopefully we covered the subject you actually asked for.
I hope so. And you want to know why? Because the person that suggested this, it's like kind of a couple, right?
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
like very
Him and his
supportive.
wife.
We love them.
Yep.
And
And
you
they
know,
mention each
if
other in
we
every comment, and every time they message us, they mention each other, how they were both listening, or
yeah,
things like
they're the
that. So it's
best.
cool.
They're not
I
going to
love
any
it.
Coldplay concerts, I'll tell you that.
Dan's his name. Dan was the listener who suggested this.
Okay, great. Yeah.
I had to go and look.
So
Yeah.
shout out to Dan. Dan, if this didn't
Ooh,
scratch that itch for you, then please throw something else back out there towards
and
us.
something I just thought of is when Dan messaged us, he mentioned how him and his wife both love true crime, which I think is cool. Like for a couple to be into true crime together.
Hell yeah.
Otherwise, it's just creepy when like your partner
I
likes
know.
true crime
One's
way
like
too
staying up
much.
late watching true crime, and
And
the other
it's
one has to
like,
like
and they're just like
a little uncomfortable.
trying to sleep, very scared,
Like, can't we just
trembling.
watch Chopped for once?
It's like, yes, I know. Antifreeze has a flavor, a taste now. Yes. That's why you haven't given it to me yet. I
Yeah.
know.
All right.
So,
So,
anyways, check our
anyways,
Patreon out, everybody. We have been slowly building. It's a lot of fun to have that community over there. If you are on the Patreon, hey, let's hear from you. Make sure you are pitching into conversation, starting your own conversation. Let's make this what we want it to be. And whatever that is for you, make it happen. That's kind of our motto. If you haven't come over to Patreon yet, that is where the only place you will find our videos of the episodes. So if you want to see these lovely faces, get over there. And you can get the videos at free tier or paid tier, but the paid tier gets you our bonus episodes as well.
all right.
And we've done a few recently. We had two, one about hubris, exciting topic, we know, but actually it was a great conversation about the Titanic, and what was the name of the other thing that went to go investigate the Titanic that also blew up?
Oh man, like it was like an Ocean Gate vessel, the
Something,
Titan,
yeah,
maybe.
the Titan, I think, maybe, yeah, because Titanic, Titan.
Yeah.
So that was a great episode. And then we did the 28 years later topic about fatherhood and themes, and yeah, so they've been kind of fun. I like them.
Yes, and we've got a couple more in the works. So,
Yep. Yep. All right, well, thank you for listening. We will see you next week. Everybody be safe, give hugs, and hold your loved ones close.
your proper loved one.
Your proper one, not the other one.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Have a great night.